One of the other interesting, I guess, takeaways from the setup that I that I delivered is this idea that you're in a space that you're shoulder to shoulder with companies like J&J and BMS and Eli Lilly and Novartis, just to name a couple. Um, it's a who's who of big bio. Uh, and here our Arcellx, mid-stage company, clinically. Yeah, you're running with the big dogs, and as I said, many analysts have you guys pegged as the leader. Again, it's hard to develop a concise question, but it's like how and what's key? Like what are the, I guess, keys to running with that kind of company?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's always back to like the question you asked earlier, where my advice was to kind of avoid generalizations. I think that sometimes there's this assumption that you're significantly advantaged across the board by being the larger incumbent, but that's not always the case. In our case, there's a couple of reasons to believe. I mean, beyond the team element that we talked about, and I'm sure we'll talk about more. But from a technology perspective, we feel like we have a stronger platform that allows us to differentiate across safety, efficacy, and scale manufacturability, which are critical in the cell therapy space. So that component obviously is really important, and we hope to continue to confirm that with future development and future studies. And then one thing you haven't touched on yet is our partnership with Gilead. They are the leader in the space from a commercial and manufacturing perspective, which are both not to be understated in their importance in cell therapy. And so having a platform that allows you to potentially differentiate across safety, efficacy, and manufacturability, and then coupling that with the player with the biggest commercial footprint and the best track record of manufacturing scale and delivery does position us, we believe, to be the leader in the space over time.
Yeah. Was that Gilead partnership in play or in process or developing when you joined the company, or is that something that's taken place since you came on board?
No, that certainly took place since I came on board and as the data matured in our lead program. You have to again remember when I first joined, there wasn't a lot of belief in another company being able to join this party, right? So there wasn't a lot of necessarily interest in this lead BCMA program. But over time, as we delivered more data, as we developed more relationships, as we built the company, developed confidence in the team and our ability to execute, certainly that level of interest grew.
Can you share any, I don't know, details or anecdotes around the establishment of that partnership and maybe what some of the keys were to making it happen?
Yeah, I mean, look, at some point, I think we had gotten the world's attention. I think the harder part was striking a deal that worked for us. And I would say that we had the mentality of making sure that whatever deal we execute, we were treated like a larger company, that we felt like we were equal in the partnership, because again, we had a lot of confidence in our team and what we brought to the table. And so I think the biggest challenge, whether it was with Gilead or any other party, was negotiating a deal where we felt like we were going to have an equal seat at the table. That was also important strategically because we're building this company for the long term. And so for us, you want to develop these capabilities over time so that when you have hopefully additional hits in your pipeline, you're able to leverage those muscles to actually, bring the pipeline programs to market. So we didn't want to be a passenger. We wanted to be a co-pilot. And that, I would say, without getting into too much detail, was probably the hardest thing from a negotiations perspective.
Yeah, yeah. I had a conversation not long ago about negotiations with a negotiator, and we were talking about this concept where, like, you want $200 and I want to give you $100, and he said, so we settle on 150, and he said that leaves you not happy and me not happy. Like, there's so much more to the equation, right? Like, we want to come to a deal terms where it's not just meeting in the middle, but each of us walking away feeling as though we've accomplished an objective. And I can imagine that can be pretty tricky sometimes when you're going into negotiations with companies like that.
No, and that's exactly right. That's the exact right framework. And I feel like that is where we landed. I think ultimately, rather than sort of ticky-tacky going back on points, it's stepping back and seeing what the whole pie can look like and how we can grow it together and where our strengths lie and what we can each contribute. And look, the experience with the Kite Gilead team has been phenomenal. They're amazing partners. I think one of the things that is unique in our partnership is how aligned our teams are from the leadership across the board. Cindy Peretti's been an incredible leader. And our teams feel like truly like one team. And so it's not just that on paper we are able to negotiate this deal, but in practicality, we've been able to really execute it in a way where we feel like, we're all rowing in the same direction, which I think from your experience, Matt, that's hard enough to do within an individual company, let alone to do across two companies, one of which is a relatively larger company. So we couldn't be really more happy with how things have played out. But you needed that foundation of the negotiation as the basis. But I can tell you, even if we gave that paperwork to two companies and said, hey, this is your deal, it's actually a whole different ball wax to actually operationalize it in a way. And that's really a credit to Eileen Fernandez, our CBO. She was the lead on the deal along with Miriam Abdul Karim, our general counsel. And then obviously we have a broader management team that has been driving it. But Eileen has played a huge role in making sure that this deal actually in function reflects what we set out to accomplish.